Welcome to Relay Radio. I'm your host, Derek Dreyer. To my right is my co-host, Daniel Hong. We will be lighting the torch of knowledge to bring you exhilarating insights, expert tips, and inspiring stories.
Immerse yourself in the world of business, entrepreneurship, and life as we pass the baton of knowledge, empowering you to sprint towards greatness. Today's guest embodies what high risk, high reward means. Originally from the Bay Area, he moved to Houston with a passion for design. Little did he know he would be working with the industry leaders, one of the industry leaders in the fitness realm. Inaka Power, head of design, creative director, and founder at Black Space Creative, father of the Fit Dude, he is Joshua San Miguel Perez.
What's up? What an intro.
Yeah, right? We always like to make our guests feel like, that's fucking me, you know? Yeah.
My favorite part was father of the Fit Dude.
Yeah. Because your new dog, Mocha, right?
Yep.
Nice.
All right, Josh, let me explain the structure of the podcast. I know you said you listened to a few of our episodes, but yeah, we structure it like a relay race. We're going to go through a warm-up. First leg will be personal. Second leg, social media. Third leg, we'll talk about business. Fourth leg, we'll do some advice, retrospective goals, things like that.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, we're going to start with the warm-up.
See how smart you are.
Little warm-up sprint here. We're going to throw some trivia questions at you. You got 30 seconds.
I'm nervous.
You ready? Everybody said that. I'm nervous. Okay, all right, let's go. All right, who is on the $20 bill?
Ooh, Abraham Lincoln. I don't know.
What does CMYK stand for?
Cyan, magenta, yellow. I might be wrong. Black. The K is for black. I might be wrong.
Okay. What three major cities make up the Bay Area?
San Francisco, Oakland, and Richmond? Maybe?
How many kilograms is a pound?
15. I don't know.
All right, that's time.
Dang, those are hard.
Yeah. I don't know if
You actually got CMYK right.
I did.
Cyan, magenta, yellow, black.
See?
So you are definitely a designer. Hands down.
I was like, K for black, I'm pretty sure. That was like one of
everybody only gets one.
Yeah, you actually got a hard one right, but the Bay Area was Oakland, San Fran, and San Jose. So you missed the San Jose one.
In my mind, I was like,
should have known
San Jose?
My phone number area code.
I don't fucking know. Austin does these questions. 2.2 pounds in a kilo.
I wouldn't have gone.
The other question was, what is the most western state in the U.S.?
Oh, no, that's in Nevada. Western state in the U.S.?
You just visited this place.
Did I?
Yeah.
Daniel's still trying to go with the trivia question.
It was Hawaii, but anyway.
Hawaii is what? Oh,
Western.
Oh, Western.
Western
I was
state.
thinking like cowboy Western.
People don't think about that.
Those are tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's kick it off with the first leg. So this is, we're talking about your personal life a little bit, understand your background, get to know you on a deeper level. So who is Joshua Perez?
Joshua.
That boy said Perez.
Oh. You got to roll the
that was fancy.
Oh.
From San Antonio, you heard?
Yeah.
So who am I? I am the youngest of four in my family. I have one brother, two sisters. I'm a designer. I'm a thinker, a creative, a believer. I am a goal-getter, a risk-taker. I feel like I'm rapping.
Bars.
Yeah, speed it up a little bit.
I know. What else? Who am I? A brother. I think I said that already. Yeah. Anything else I needed?
It's always hard. It's always hard for some people to just talk about
themselves.
Right?
I know. I'm like, what else?
So I want to touch a little bit on your faith because you're, in this day and age, our generation and younger, faith is not really a big thing anymore. I think our parents' generation and beyond, it was always a thing. You had to go to church, you had to practice faith, you had to have something in your house where it was like a shrine or something like that.
Yeah.
But what's your religion? You're Catholic?
Christian.
You're Christian. So, talk to us a little bit about that, because you're pretty religious in the sense. So you travel a lot with these churches and stuff, and
Yeah.
break that down.
So I grew up in a Catholic home actually, but growing up, like I honestly didn't like church at all. Like I was the kid that would bring like my Transformer toys to church, or like my Game Boy, and like try to sit in the back, because I just hated going to church. I just didn't want to like sit still and listen. But then it wasn't until my junior year in high school I started going to like a Bible study, that my friends from I like switched schools, and like I went to a different school, and then like I was like the new kid and didn't know anyone. And then I moved back to my old city, and then my friends from way back in elementary school like invited me to a Bible study, and I was all like, I'm down, because that whole like year and a half when I went to a different school, I didn't really know anyone, and no one really wanted to hang out with me. So then when they invited me to Bible study, even though I didn't like the idea of Bible study, I was like, I'm going because people want to hang out with me.
Nice.
So from that, that's when I actually was like, I guess, old enough to kind of make faith my own and try to understand it the way how I wanted to understand it, because I was kind of like old enough to like think about it. So from there, I started going to like Bible study, and then started to realize that there was a place for me like in that group. And then I decided to go to a Christian college to get my degree in.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So you like transformed
I did.
180.
What college did you go to?
I went to California Baptist University
Okay,
in Riverside, California.
So like I always break it down. There's two levels of faith. The ones that follow it to a T, everything the Bible says, everything that the priest says, or are you the other individual that just takes what you take from it? Or you just follow what you take from it?
I'll say more on the, I guess, something in the middle. Like I don't pick and choose like what to believe, what not to believe. I follow the teachings of the Bible. So what is taught in the Bible, and like how I could apply that to my life. And obviously, like what you said, like the priest, like whatever the priest or the pastor preaches on, like I listen to pastors, and when I go to church, like I listen to what they have to teach like the congregation, and that's how I apply like teachings to my life.
Oh, nice.
And just even like just my own like personal like studies, just like when I was in school, and like people who were like mentors to me and that invested in my life to be like a stronger Christian and just a better human like in this place in the world. But yeah, I definitely don't pick and choose like what to believe in. Definitely what I try my best to live
According to the teachings.
according to the teachings of what the Bible says. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
Yeah, everybody,
Yeah.
has their own, like ways of going about it. What was your family upbringing like?
So I grew up in a big family. I have 3 other siblings, and we didn't really have much, honestly. My parents came from the Philippines, and when they were young, I think they were like 18. They met here in the U.S. and got married at a young age, and then they had us. And yeah, like we didn't really have much. There was 4 of us, so it was kind of hard for my parents to like always work and provide for all 4 of us and also them, and to like live the American dream. They did a really good job at raising us and teaching us to be respectful and like to honor like your elders and like all that kind of stuff, and just work hard. Like I just remember my dad always working like graveyard shifts and like switching from graveyard to like regular like working hours. And my mom worked at a school, so it was perfect for her to be with the kids, because she'd work at school while we were at school, and then she'd get off when we'd get off, and she had summer break when we'd had summer break. So
Nice.
I think they had a really good system with trying to like spend time with us and just be like an example like for us. And I think just the way how they raised us and the way how they taught us to just respect others and work hard and, you know, just chase after your dreams, I think it really translated to the way how me and my siblings like operate today.
Did you play sports growing up or anything?
No.
Like how'd you get into fitness?
I wish. I mean, like in middle school, like I did like volleyball.
Okay.
But I've always wanted to get into basketball. I remember in high school, I wanted to play basketball and I asked my dad and he was like, no. And I was like, why not?
Really?
Yeah, it's because like my school it wasn't in the best area, like in the Bay Area. So they didn't really like the idea of us being at school after hours because of security and like just it wasn't really
Gotcha.
safe.
Okay.
So it was kind of like once the bell rings and you got to go home.
Really?
So
I think there's
kinda
such
like
a commonality of like everybody we've interviewed so far. Everyone's a millennial so far that we've interviewed, and the commonality seems to be that everyone, and I feel like that's why millennials are the best generation, because like all of our families had nothing when we kind of either came to the States or like we're working class families, even if we were from the States. And that's what really taught, like, in my opinion, millennials the surplus of like discipline. Because like when I was growing up, like same like you said, we had to like honor the elders. Like it was like a privilege to sit at the grown-ups table. So I still have that principle like till today.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're also the last generation that really like played outside. And then it's like,
We were the generation that experienced life before technology, like the technology boom,
dial up and
then
shit. Yeah.
after, like before internet, after internet as well. Like we grew up without the internet, like without a lot of
Yeah, most
technology,
definitely.
and then boom, like, and then we learned to grow up with that and live with that. So
but also like because of what we were taught, like whether it's, you know, not having a good upbringing or just like your family just didn't have money, I feel like because we are surrounded by like seeing our parents all the time grinding and like graveyard shift, like my parents too, his parents too, like graveyard shift and like working nonstop 2 jobs and things like that. Like we took that principle and we applied it to like how we do things and like maybe even teach our kids. Dude, the new generation has not seen that.
I know. It's
Like,
crazy.
you know, like I always say too, like me and my older brother are like 2.5 years apart, but me and my little brother are 12 years apart. So he's the Gen Z, and like, you know, they grew up with technology and like we had more money when he was born,
Yeah.
and also that generation didn't get their ass beat. Do you get your ass
Yeah.
beat? Did you get your ass beat?
I did.
Yeah. So it's like I feel like that's why now that we're older, we're like, all right, I got my ass beat. You can see like such a difference
You could.
in entitlement
Yeah,
to
oh,
like
100%.
a lot of the
So
new
you,
generation.
you look at somebody and you're like, yeah, they didn't get their ass beat.
Yeah, dude, most definitely, dude. Like my dad, because my dad owns a restaurant in Chinatown, and you know, like a lot of these newer parents, like they'll come in and they'll eat, and their kids like just don't want to cooperate. They don't want to eat. They don't want to do anything. But like, dude, when we were younger, if that happened,
Yeah.
but my dad beat my ass at the restaurant.
Yeah.
He made me like look at the corner and pull my ears.
Yep.
That's the type of shit he made me do.
Yeah.
So like it is pretty amazing. Like I've noticed a trend. Like now that I would say like our sixth guests coming in, and like we always talk about like it's the same thing over and over and over again,
Yeah,
which is
just
amazing.
Similarities in people's upbringing and family dynamics. It's pretty cool to see. Like,
Yeah.
I guess also like the other commonality is the fitness realm as well.
Yeah, most definitely the fitness realm.
Most people that we've interviewed are from the fitness realm.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, going off the fitness stuff, how did you get into fitness? I know you
Yeah.
competed in the past in some shows and
Yeah.
stuff. So
It's funny actually. Like I was actually like a skinny boy, like growing up, like in middle school, high school.
Typical Asian,
Yeah,
right?
I think I graduated high school at like 115 pounds. Like I looked like my friends would joke around, like they'd say I was like a walking bobblehead because my head was so big, but my body was so skinny. But yeah, I remember I went on a camping trip with my like my academy that I was in high school, and like one of the last days we all took pictures like at a waterfall. And then there's this guy that was standing next to me. He was like one of those army like ROTC students, and he was like built. And then like maybe the following week, everyone started uploading their pictures on MySpace, and like everyone was posting those waterfall pictures, and then you see like built army guy and then like a skinny bobblehead next to him. So after that, I was like, dang, I need to put on muscle, or I need to put on some meat, or I need to eat more. So from then, that's when I started like actually like working out, because I was like, dang, like I'm skinny. Like I don't I don't want to look like a skinny boy my whole life. So yeah, from there, that's kind of like what sparked like my interest in fitness. Obviously, like when you start lifting, you get your baby muscles, and then you start to
that
feel
first year, the newbie game
you
phase.
you start to feel all confident. And then college happened, and then that's when I started seeing like on Instagram like bodybuilding but in board shorts, and I was like, what the heck is that? Like, why? I thought they had to be in like underwear.
What year is this?
This was maybe like 2011,
Okay.
2012.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when I started seeing on Instagram like Jeremy Buendia, Jason Poston, like all those pioneers in men's physique. And I was all like, I thought they had to wear like Speedos or like underwear and stuff. So then that's kind of like when I started following like more bodybuilders. And then I was like, I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, I think that's around the time that physique was introduced as a
yeah.
class in the NPC. And I think that's what kind of sparked a lot of people's interest in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of guys didn't want to get into bodybuilding because you thought
You didn't want to
had
wear the Speedo.
Well, one, you didn't want to wear the Speedo, but and I mean, Daniel rocked it, but
I rocked it.
Did you do classic or
I did
no, he did bodybuilding.
Yeah.
you did?
My first show was in like
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that. I thought you-
2014. My first show, bodybuilding. Yeah.
But yeah, physique was like
2012,
a less intimidating class to like
Yeah.
enter the space in, right? So
Yeah, no one.
that's where a lot of, but yeah, it was really cool to see that kind of like blow up
banana
and pop
hammock
off.
life.
So then you did, how many shows did you do after that?
I've done 12. So
12 shows?
Yeah,
Wow.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is
Jesus.
crazy.
I'm like,
That's
how
a
did-
lot of dieting.
Yeah, I'm like, how did I have all the money to pay
Yeah.
for 12 shows?
Yeah, it's like
so
$5 grand, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
it's
one
also-
year when I did like 4.
It was also a lot cheaper back then. You know, like food was cheaper, coaching
was.
was cheaper,
It was, yeah.
tanning I think was still like $99 to $100. Now it's like
But honestly, like
150 or something.
150.
regardless of all that, it's like the mental aspect of it. Like doing 12 shows, dieting that many times. And
I
like,
thought I did a lot.
yeah, like I mean, a lot of people don't realize like the last 2 weeks of prep like are very mentally exhausting
is,
and draining.
yeah.
And then also
really
after
is.
prep, if you don't reverse diet correctly and like you just start eating like that body dysmorphia or whatever,
Yes.
like how you look and stuff like that starts playing a factor on you as
Yeah.
well. Like if you gain weight too fast, like
That was
it's
Alpha
very,
Man.
it's very mentally exhausting.
It
So
is,
props
yeah.
to you for doing 12
I will,
shows.
yeah, I will say because of bodybuilding, like that's why I'm so disciplined in like other areas in my life, because of it's just so structured. And like I just knew like after like my first few competitions, like I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. So I was kind of like, okay, I need to be more disciplined if this is what I want. And then also at that time, it was just like it was kind of like a struggle, like just paying for everything and like paying for bills and like just being a new broke college student graduate, So I was just like, okay, if I'm going all in, like with all my money and doing this, like I need to make sure I'm on top of it with my training, my eating, my sleeping, and then just in order to live my life, I also need to work and like do all this stuff. So I need to be more disciplined, like in my work life, like all that stuff. So I will say because of bodybuilding, I was able to kind of have that type of hustle mentality that I have today.
Did you like? Was your goal to like go pro, or like why were you like? What was your purpose
Yeah.
for competing?
I just wanted to see if I could actually do it at first. I remember after I started following it for maybe like 2 years, I went to my first Olympia. And even during that time, like the first 2 years, I still didn't think that I could do it because I felt like I was too short or I just couldn't put on that type of muscle. And then when I went to Olympia, I saw that most of the Olympians were like my height. So I was like, oh, I thought
Yeah,
that-
it's crazy.
Yeah,
right?
I thought they
all
were
look so
taller.
tall.
Yeah.
bro. Everyone's like 5'5", 5'6", 5'7".
That's why I
Yeah.
liked. That's why I like Steve Cook because he was like similar type.
yeah, he's like
he was like
6'2".
taller guy, like similar build to me, and I was like, okay, like that's kind of like what I can go for, like because I was like, all these other dudes are so when you're shorter, it's easier to stack muscle, and I'm like, dude,
I think Steve
Nobody
Cook
that
has
can
like
relate to.
the perfect physique.
he does.
he's got a
He has his waist
Like
isn't so
off-season too,
tiny.
yeah.
It's not too tiny. It's like like right around that 30 waist, like year round, and then he has like big arms and like pretty good sized legs.
Yeah.
And like he's built for like a white dude, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's got round muscle bellies and
Yeah.
shit.
I met him too, like my
Shout out
first
Steve.
Olympia. Like I remember I waited in line for like 3 hours
Yeah.
to like talk to him.
Derek has his personal phone number.
He's a cool guy.
I do too, but he don't respond to me. He responds to Derek.
No,
He
yeah,
responded to my DM once.
he's
That's
a really cool guy.
Pretty nice guy, yeah.
That's cool.
Cool. So, transitioning. So you were competing while you were in college. What did you, or kind of after?
Yeah, I started right after college. So I graduated 2016, and then I think I did my first competition like 2017. Yeah, I think so. I graduated like May-ish, and then I think the following year in January is when I started my prep, and then I competed in June of 2017.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good transition into the second leg, which is social media. So when you were competing and doing all these shows, is that when you also started trying to like post more on social media, or how did you get into social media?
Yeah, actually. So I remember when I started prepping for my first competition, I decided to make another Instagram. So that's the one that I use now. I actually have two Instagrams. But I made like a fitness page because I wanted to kind of, because obviously like the years before, like I was kind of like taking it all in, like seeing what bodybuilding is, like doing like what it means to diet, like what are these types of exercises and stuff. So I was like, okay, my main Instagram, like I was posting mostly just my personal life and like church stuff and like from my school or whatever. And I was like, these people aren't probably interested in like my fitness life. So I was like, let me just make another account. And that's where it used to be called like Joshua Perez Fitness. And then, yeah, so I started posting on there.
I think that's what everybody.
Literally
did.
everyone, yeah.
That's what everybody's who was in the fitness realm. Their Instagram was
Mine
like
is still Hong Fit. James is like
Hong
20
Fit. Yeah,
Fitness or fit.
you had to have
one of
fit
those.
at the end,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Or else you don't count. Or else you-
Yeah.
So yeah, so I started a new Instagram account just so I could document like pretty much everything because everything was new to me. Like I didn't even know how to cook. Like I didn't even know how to count macros or all that stuff. So I made that account so then I could make it as a resource for like other people who wanted to follow the journey to follow. So yeah, so I was just posting on there and then started tagging like the gyms that I would train at, and then people would just like start following it and ask me questions. And then that's actually now like the main account that I use today.
Cool.
I mean, I don't really have a big following, but like I still post fitness and like design stuff now. But yeah, so then years later, that's when I rebranded that name to The Fit Designer because I wanted to do fitness and design stuff.
did you? I guess jumping back to college, did you major in design? How did you get into design?
Yeah, so I went to my college, as I mentioned before, to get my theology degree. And then I was taking design classes just like as a minor because I just always liked design. And then one of my classes, like I fell in love with, and I was like, I kind of want to like add this as a second degree. So I added it, and then it ended up saying like a fifth year. So I graduated with both theology and design.
Nice. That's awesome. It's hard to do.
It was. It was. I'm glad that I got to finish my theology degree
Yeah.
first and then focus my fifth year only on design because that would have been so hard to. Theology was hard. It was a lot of reading and writing.
So with like design and like social media, obviously we know like designers are pretty high value nowadays if you know what you're doing. There's different types. Like with the designer, we know that, you know, unless you're like Pharrell or like Virgil, most of the time you're like in the back end.
Yeah.
So like, would there ever be a time that like with social media per se, let's just say, that you're ever wanting to like be in front of the camera for like your own personal brand or things like that?
Yeah, 100%. Like that is actually like one of my biggest goals is to take in everything that I'm learning right now and like everything that I've got to do for a lot of like business owners or brand owners is to pretty much do my own thing. And I just mentioned to you before we started recording, I watch a show called Next in Fashion.
Yeah.
There's another show called The Hype, and that's more streetwear
Nice.
surrounded. I just love watching those type of shows because it's these creators or these designers that kind of already have their own brand or like has worked with like celebrities and like created, I guess, outfits or apparel for them. But it's like their next step to make their brand the next big thing. So I feel like that's kind of the direction that I'm in right now, is trying to figure out, okay, what's next beyond doing graphics on a t-shirt. Next is buy a sewing machine and learn how to cut and sew, learn how to do patterns and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Did you start essentially you started with graphic design and you're trying to transition into more of the clothing design aspect?
yeah, so graphic design, like a lot of marketing design stuff, which I still love.
Yeah.
But I would love to be able to construct my own stuff and create a brand out of it. Maybe even just start with just my own personal clothes stuff.
Yeah.
Clothes first, and then if people like it, then maybe.
So what so as far as your social media, do you post a mixture of fitness and design stuff, and that's what you do on your fit design page?
Yeah, pretty much. I would say, yeah, I would say probably 50-50. I don't know if you would think so. I always post like design stuff, like kind of like little tips and tricks, like stuff that helped me along the way, or just stuff that looks aesthetically
Do
pleasing.
you utilize any other social media platforms or plan to?
I did YouTube for a bit for my last year when I was prepping for my 2 comps, but that was more for the fitness stuff. But I do talk about design stuff too in my vlogs. But yeah, pretty much.
Oh, so you're still competing, like you're not done.
Yeah, I'm still competing.
Okay.
So the goal, like what you asked earlier, the goal is still to be pro.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I
So you
think
want to be a professional fitness designer?
I do. Yeah. That'd be dope.
Hey, that's kind of cool. That's a cool title, actually.
Yeah. I might compete in December, and I think they moved like one of the national shows from Florida to Dallas. So hopefully we'll see whatever my coach says.
When you compete in the past, how do you typically place or do?
Always first call outs.
Really?
So far.
Yeah.
So far. Well, actually, there was one where I didn't. There's one that I didn't, but it was like a group of like 7 of us, but they just called all of us, but I didn't get like top 5. And that was like the one that I did the worst at. But yeah, mostly like first call outs. Yeah.
Have you done a national show yet, or you
I've done one.
Okay.
I did Amateur Olympia.
kind of know what you know what you need to do to get to that level now?
Oh yeah, 100%. I did Amateur Olympia like I think 2018 or 2019, and then from there I was like, okay, I really do need to take this seriously and like take my bulk like season serious as well and do it clean. But yeah, so then hopefully the one in December, that will be the national, my second time doing nationals.
Yeah. So whether it's for fitness or whether it's for fitness or design, like what do you utilize social media for? Like what are you consuming?
Like what am I? Sorry.
Yeah, like you're following. Like what type of content are you looking at essentially?
Oh, pretty much both. Like, I love seeing like what my favorite designers and brands are posting, and seeing how I could get inspired like from those to see how I could be like one of those people that people will eventually look at as well. And then as far as fitness too, like just my favorite like fitness people. But I would say I mostly look at more on the design creative side.
Okay.
I would say like my algorithm is mostly that versus fitness. I still get like all the fitness people that pop up on my algo, but I would say I think my page is kind of, or what's popping up on my page is mostly like the design creative stuff.
Who would you say are like your favorite designers? Like mainstream and not mainstream.
Yeah, there's definitely, I feel like it changes like throughout whatever season or like whatever my vibe is or what I feel like is trending for me. But right now, my number one favorite is Ruiji. He's the owner of Rude.
Yeah.
Obviously because I love how his take on like luxury streetwear. But I like his story and like where he comes from. So he's actually a Filipino designer, came from the Philippines, moved to I think LA to like make it. So it's really cool to see him do that and see myself in him because I'm also a Filipino designer.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I'm not from the Philippines, but it's cool to see that he's up there, and I truly believe that I could have a seat next to him at the dinner table one of these days.
I think so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Visualize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's I just love his style, his brand, and just his take on design. I love Ronnie for Kith.
Yeah.
everything about Kith is a dream.
It's fucking sick.
Yeah, just
Yeah, it is really sick.
from concept to campaigns to even product photography.
Yeah.
Just even how they fold their clothes on their Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
just everything.
I just saw one of their, I guess their shoe collabs with Asics. It was like
Yeah.
an X-Men one. Like they look really nice.
Yeah.
Damn, those are actually really nice.
I saw that. Yeah, I think they have like a X-Men collab dropping at the San Diego
It's
Comic
not like you know, you would think when you think X-Men, you think it's gonna be like loud and like in your face, but it's actually like really subtle.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
And that's what's cool about the Kith brand. Like they'll collab with all these different companies or like brands, but they'll make it Kith. Like they won't. They'll obviously still take characteristics of like what that brand is, but they'll make it so that it still looks like a Kith.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I really like.
I think, dude, honestly, someone that a lot of people don't talk about, obviously the brand is really big, so they honor his work, but like JB is so like, JB's the owner of ASRV. Dude, like the level of like meticulousness and like set building, like when you talk about
Oh yeah,
content,
100. Yep.
dude, like I think he is setting the path for like all of these big brands to follow. And I think like, you know, brands like Prada, like even the higher scale like name brands like Louis, Givenchy, Balenciaga, like they're kind of going in that route too, and I'm starting to see it. Dude, like that's someone I feel like will be legendary. Like
I think
JB
so
is
too.
fucking,
I agree.
yeah, it's fucking crazy, bro. Like JB is literally probably one of my favorite designers of all time. I think just being able to make fitness apparel so cool with zero influencer culture,
Yeah.
like fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, even just looking at ASRV from when it first started to now.
yeah, their aesthetic revolution, and now they're like all sports something. They like
It is like what it is now is you wouldn't have any idea.
Yeah,
that it was
it's
what it was.
pretty fucking wild. But yeah, that's our. I guess like what the biggest leg for us, I feel like, to talk about would be like the business, which is like the third leg. So obviously now you work with Inaka and you have Black Space Creative, but like what
Yes.
came before that?
So before Inaka, so I was living in San Diego and I was a designer for a university, a private Christian college out there.
Oh, nice.
Is this like right out of college?
Maybe like 2 or 3 years after college. Yeah, after I graduated, I was working at Lululemon actually.
Okay.
And I was doing some design stuff for Lululemon, but it was just more for the greater Los Angeles area. It wasn't like corporately, but I was working my way towards that. That's a time for another story. But yeah, so after I left Lululemon, I moved to San Diego to pursue my design career because I was like, you know, I need to start designing. Like that's what I want to do. So I got a job at a university. I was basically just doing marketing design there. It wasn't necessarily like my cup of tea when it comes to design, but it did teach me a lot about professionalism and
Yeah.
and deadlines and how to talk with clients, how to like go through the phases of like feedback, concepts, like all that kind of stuff. So it really did teach me a lot on how to be like a professional designer. Yeah, so I was doing that. I think I only did that for a year actually, because towards the end of that, that's when I started designing for 3D energy drinks.
Oh, nice. How'd you come across that?
Yeah, that was random. So I remember Christian posted on his Instagram. My best friend Alan, he like sent me Christian's story, and he was like looking for a designer for, I think at the time it may be Up Energy, or maybe it was 3D Energy. But yeah, he had posted that, and then he said, if you're a designer, like send your resume and your portfolio to 3D Energy Drinks. And then I did literally right away. And then they DM'd me probably within hours. And then they asked me like what my address is. And then literally like in a day or two, I had like 2 cases in front of my house. And this was when it was just like the first 3 flavors. Oh, it was 3D. Yeah, it was red, green, and blue. And then I remember I DM'd them back. I said, hey, like I got the package. Like, do you guys have any like brand rules? Like any like suggestions that you guys want? Like any direction, whatever. And they're literally like, just do whatever you want. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know how to take pictures at that time. So I was like, I'm going to need to like take pictures of this stuff. So I bought a camera, and then I made like a little studio in my apartment with like construction paper. And then I just started taking pictures and then just adding my design vibe to it, like with typography and like logo placement and stuff like that. Like, so I was doing like social media posts. And yeah, and they liked it. They really liked what they saw. And I guess at that time it was like a competition. I didn't know it was because they said like, okay, you're moving on to the next round. And I was like, oh, there's rounds to this.
Just doing what you love.
It's like interview. It's
Yeah.
just interviewing and just showcasing your work essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. And then like new flavors started coming out. So like the orange one came out, the purple one came out, then the pink one, then the rocket pop. So for a while I was doing all of that for free. Like I didn't ask for money because I really wanted to show them what I got. So I kind of knew that I had to do like stuff for free just a little bit, just so they could kind of see who I am. And at that time I still had my design job, so I didn't need like the financial side of that. I really wanted to put my name out there. So yeah, and then after that, I think when the red, white, and blue can came out, that's when I asked them, like, how do you see us working together more in depth and like actually get paid? And then that's when I started getting like paid from them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So earlier you mentioned with the job at the university, it's where you kind of learned how to like deal with client feedback and stuff. And I know that can kind of be difficult as a designer, right? Like criticism essentially, or constructive criticism. Not everybody takes that well. So is that something that you dealt with where you would get, either offended or frustrated when people or clients didn't like your work? Like, how did you navigate through that?
Yeah, I think what kind of built me was when I was in college, we'd have our projects and like we would literally critique everyone's work in front of the whole class. So like in the past, like I did hear like, oh, that sucks, or that's really good, or you need to do this. So I think in school, it really prepared me for like what is out there in the real world when it comes to feedback. And yeah, so I think that prepared me for like the real world when I would actually do design work for clients. If they were to say like the worst thing ever, then I knew how to respond, and I knew how to go back. But I do really well with not taking it personal, because I try my best to understand what the client wants and to make sure I nail it the first try, so then there doesn't have to be 3 revisions afterwards. So
And like not get too attached to the work in it.
exactly,
Right?
yeah, I had to really learn that it's not me as the designer. It's just we just didn't capture, or most of the time, like a lot of designers relate. Most of the time it's the client doesn't really know how to explain what they really want.
Yeah. So during that
Until
time,
they see the
Until
first
they
one.
see it, yeah, they'll see like 3 revisions, and they're like, "No, I wanted it like this." And I was like, "Oh, if you said that the first time."
yeah. So during this time, you're now working with 3D, kind of like, on a per project basis, and then you're working with a university.
Yeah.
How did the Inaka one come up, or when did you transition out of that university?
Yeah. So I quit my university job because what I liked doing with 3D was so fun, because it was it was basically like, here's a product, do whatever you want with it.
Nice.
Versus
Had the
for
autonomy to do it, yeah.
exactly. Versus with the university, it was like, here's the School of Nursing, they want a brochure for their nursing program.
yeah.
I was all like, this is so boring.
Yeah, it's lame.
But again, like I'm so thankful for all the professional stuff that I learned from it. But at the time too, I think I started posting like BTS stuff of what I would do for 3D. So I think that's how I started gaining traction to my page, because I think Christian also would like tag me sometimes like on his stories, and I haven't even met him yet. And like that's when people were DMing me asking me for like side work.
Nice.
And then one of my friends, I haven't even met him in person yet either, but he's like a social media friend, and like he does videography. And like I asked him, I was like, what did you do to like make that jump from like your 9 to 5 job to be like a full-on freelance designer? And then like he kind of gave me advice, and he was like, you should do it. He was like, if you're already getting DMs for potential clients and projects, like that's a good sign, versus like doing it and not really having like a line of people waiting for work. Because I had to keep saying no to people because I simply didn't have time to do it, because it was either my 9 to 5 or 3D, and then I was also bodybuilding at that time. So I didn't have time to like take on more projects. So I was like, you know what? I was like, maybe I should take this risk and like quit my job, and then just say yes to every client that like hits my DMs.
Yeah.
So that's how that started.
And then how?
And then Inaka. Sorry.
Yeah. How did the Inaka thing come about?
So I started getting busier with 3D, and then that's when Christian also started being in conversation with me about possibly moving here to work for him. This is when he was just building Alpha Land. So like we were kind of going back and forth of like what that might look like if I moved here. But then during that time, it was kind of hard to get a response from Christian because he was building Alpha Land. So I was all like, the last thing that's on his mind is probably responding to me about a full-time job. So I was just like, you know what? Like, it's in the middle of the pandemic too. So I was all like, I'm gonna just move out there. So then like I could just establish my roots and I'll be there and it'll be like seamless when he's ready to hire me. So I was like, I competed in summer shredding. It was like October 2020. And when I went there, I went to go look at apartments. And I was kind of like, okay, if I get approved for an apartment, then I'm going to make the move out here. And then I saw Christian backstage. I was like, hey, like I applied for an apartment. We'll see what happens. And he was like, dope. Like if you're here and you move here, like let's talk. So then, yeah, I fast forward, I moved here, and then Christian let me start taking pictures at Alpha Land for 3D so I could get some content there. And then one day when I was shooting there, do you know who Leah is?
Yeah, Mural Meal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
She's the one that does all the murals there. She was painting Arnold in Gym 3, and I was there taking pictures of 3D cans. And then like this was my first time meeting her, and she, I guess based off of my vibe, she was like, do you know any of the Inaka guys? And I was all like, no, I know them like through social media, but I don't know them personally. I was like, I literally don't know anyone here. And then she was like, you need a design for them. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, like you should, like your vibe, like it seems like you could match whatever, like the stuff that brand is like looking for. And then it's funny because like before I left San Diego, like I remember I said to myself, like one day I want to design for Inaka. And then it happened. Like it was weird because like after Leah like said that to me, she had texted me maybe like 2 days after that and said, yo, like they literally just reached out to me about designing some shorts for them. But then I'm going to tell them that if they want to hire me, they have to hire you too as well.
Oh, wow. That's
So
really nice.
She put me on.
That's awesome.
So she's the reason why I got my like contract gig with Inaka when I first started. Yeah.
So she like just met you and she's like, I'm a package deal.
Instantly, yeah.
Wow. That's
Literally,
really
she was like, I forgot who she was texting, but she was like, you guys got to meet this guy named Josh. Like, he just moved here. He's a designer. Like, he has style. Like, he might be a good fit too. So, when they asked her to come in, I went with her, and then I met them.
Nice. And then how long have you been working with them now? Like 3 years?
I think, yeah, almost 3. I think I started 2021. So maybe 2.5. Yeah.
And then, so you're talking about Black Space Creative. You're you're the founder of it. Like, talk to us a little bit about that, because in the midst of you working with Inaka, you kind of had Black Space Creative.
Yeah.
How does that go?
So I guess you could say I've always had Black Space Creative.
What exactly is Black Space Creative?
So it's basically it's just my agency where like before being with Inaka, like just we're all in my, it's like my freelance design company.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I've always had Black Space Creative, but it just didn't really have a name to it. It was just like my freelance design business. And I think when I started designing for Inaka, that's when like my clientele started growing a lot more, because I just kept getting messages of like, oh, we need this, we need this, we need this. So at that time, I was designing for Inaka, Alpha Elite, Sebum, and doing like some side projects for Nick Walker, Emily Hayden. So a lot of big like fitness icons in the industry. And it was kind of getting too much. Like I think Inaka saw that like my turnaround times were getting a little bit longer because I was trying to balance like all of these other clients.
Right.
So they had asked me like, what will it take for me to be full-time? Because I was only a contract designer from them. And then I told them, we kind of had a discussion, and then I said, but I want to keep my clients because I've worked so hard to get these clients. So I said, I've always wanted to start my own design agency and have like designers to like work with me. So that's how Black Space Creative
Okay, so
started.
working with Inaka gave you the motivation to scale Black Space Creative essentially. Now,
Yeah.
with Black Space Creative, do you have like people under you?
Yeah, I have 4 designers now that
Nice.
work with the agency.
Wow.
And then I just brought on like a project manager to help organize my life and organize the like the whole streamlined process of the agency. Because right now it's just me like talking to the potential clients and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I needed that middle person
Nice.
to do that.
And then what are the services that you offer at Black Space?
We do graphic design, design marketing, product photography, web design,
Nice.
getting into web design, pretty much anything apparel,
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
and sew, tech packs, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, you know, we kind of do something like that. Like, I think, you know, we know each other's background. So it's like apparel is such a big part, and a lot of people don't understand, like, that realm of, like, what it takes to just create, like, a T-shirt.
Yeah.
There's, like, 6 levels to it before a T-shirt's actually made.
Yep.
Unless you're just buying, like, LA apparel or
Yeah,
something, you know?
exactly.
And I think, like, talk to us a little bit about the language of design, because what people don't understand, it's like with garment, there has to be inspiration that comes from it, the fit, the fabric, the feel, things like that. So talk to us a little bit about, like, how come your inspiration of design stems only into apparel?
Yeah. I guess it depends truly on what the client wants. So it depends on if the person wants like an actual like cut and sew piece,
Right.
of like, I want it to be oversized. I don't want it to be too thick. I want it to be like this type of GSM, or I want a heavy graphic, or I want like silicone print. Like there's just so much that goes into like what will bring that final piece. And it really depends on like what truly, like if it's a streetwear brand, then like I know, okay, they want like big text, kind of like loud stuff. Or if it's a brand that wants to go the more minimal like basics route, then it's like, okay, like that's when I could play with embroidery, silicone print, patchwork. Because it's if it's just going to be like the simple logo, then like how can we elevate that logo to look better on a t-shirt? And that's through embroidery, patchwork, like different print versus end screen printing, if that makes sense. Or and like even like logo placement too, like stuff like that. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah. So with Inaka right now, you're essentially like the head of design. Like, are you responsible for, like, let's just say Inaka says, hey, Josh, we're trying to make a product. Do you kind of bring that whole concept to like the customer essentially, like from start to finish? Is that all you guys?
Yeah, I could, for example, so we have like our design group chat. It like consists of Charlie, Sam, Ant, me, and then Darren, Robbie, our other designers.
Nice.
And
Big team,
And
big team.
Gavin. Yeah, big team. And we all kind of bring ideas together, but a lot of it does come from like Charlie, Ant, Sam, to see, because they obviously see like what the brand is and like what works. So they'll bring up different ideas to us, and then they'll bring it to the design team so we could kind of curate like
Bring their vision to life.
exactly. Yeah. So for example, this is a good example. Crumble, like every week, Crumble does like new cookies.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Sam and Ant were talking about how can we bring like a Crumble idea to our mesh shorts.
Nice.
So they're like, it'd be cool if we had like different shorts, like exclusive shorts, to drop, and kind of have like that Crumble idea of like, oh, like the next lineup, I need to buy it or whatever.
Yeah, so for example, like the Formula One or the race collection, and then like your other collections, so stuff like that is what you're talking about.
So like, so they'll bring up like different concepts or ideas, and then we kind of like bring it to life. Yeah. And then like with that like Crumble idea, that's when I talked to my design team, which was Darren and Robbie. we kind of had to figure out, okay, how can we bring this crumble idea to life or whatever. So then I thought about, we should call it Inaka 100 and only sell 100 of these shorts. So so then we started to design like 100 like exclusive looking type of shorts that probably wouldn't do that's kind of like bizarre, like kind of out there. That's like, you could tell that's like kind of like an exclusive piece. And then we're like, okay, and then crumble comes in boxes. So like, let's make like a special design box that matches the shorts, and then let's number each short. And yeah, so
That's really cool.
that's kind of like, they'll bring like a certain concept, and then our design team within will be like, okay, Inaka 100, let's do this. So that's kind of like how it works when it comes
So Inaka gives you the freedom to, like, they say, hey, we want to make this product. You get the freedom to kind of go all out, and obviously they approve it, but like,
Exactly.
do you feel like with all of the people that you work with, whether it's Inaka or like you say you work with CBUM and others, do you feel like you have the creative freedom to do your thing?
I think so.
That's what makes you love your job.
It does, yeah. I think what gives me the freedom is when I work with people that have the funds to do it.
Yeah, that too.
Because like it does cost a lot more when
Yeah.
it comes to like multiple colors or like different types of printing, embroidery work. So that's why I love what I get to do with Inaka, because they kind of trust me with wanting to, or me and the design team of wanting to do new things.
Right.
Because they're down to like, try it out and see
Spend money,
see if it works for the brand. So, and I've worked with clients where it was just like, oh, we literally don't have money for that. We only have money for like screen print. That's it. So that's where I felt like I was always limited, because I knew I've always had these ideas of different designs or different types of merch, but that was holding us back.
Yeah.
Now that you're like 3 years in with Inaka, you understand the brand. When they come to you with these visions or ideas, do you generally like nail it on the first try, or are there a lot of revisions with that?
I would say most of the time we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. There are times when we present designs and they're kind of like, we're just like, oh, those are going to be sitters. Like, that's not going to do well. But even then, if we don't really nail it, but we feel like it does tie the piece together, we'll still drop it, but we'll just order like a smaller quantity of it, because we know that there are some people that will like some of the designs that we do. But I would say most of the time, our design team is really good. I really am proud of our design team, and they've learned to adapt pretty well to what our niche is and like what our style is. So
I think you guys have really shifted the culture of like gym wear in a sense, right? Like before, when we first all started working out, we're all wearing Nike and like, it's like the more athletic stuff. And then it's kind of transitioned into more like the street vibe in the gym. And like, so I think you guys have really cultivated a lot of that in the space, just from what we see, right? Like,
it's been really cool to witness it and see it to ourselves.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So how did you start working with Chris Bumstead? Because he's obviously the biggest in the fitness space.
Daniel kind of skipped over that. I was like, what?
He's the largest influencer in the fitness space.
Yeah, 100%. So with CBUM, it was kind of like a Christian thing. It was like another DM.
Nice.
And like, I'm over here thinking, there's no way these people are gonna like open my DM. Like, I only have 2,000 followers. Like,
so you reached out to him?
Yeah. Okay. So Chris did the same thing. He posted on his Instagram, looking for a designer. I think he said something like merch. I know I screenshotted it somewhere and kept it. But yeah, he said that he was just looking for a designer for merch. And then like, I literally just DM'd him and said, hey, like I do social media for 3D energy drinks, and I've done designs for these brands. Here's my website portfolio. And then he like DM'd me within the next day.
What time frame is this? Is this around you're already working with Inaka too, or?
Yeah, this was like kind of when I first started with Inaka. So I started Inaka, I think it was like around June or May of 2021.
So you didn't have a lot of that background to like, I guess, use as examples.
Yeah, I remember when I DM'd him, I didn't tell him about Inaka yet, because I was still fresh and I didn't have anything out with Inaka yet. And I remember I asked him like, what are brands or styles that you like? And one of the brands that he mentioned was Inaka. And then I was like, oh, fun story. Like, I actually designed for Inaka, but I don't have anything out yet with Inaka, but I designed for them now. So I would say it was probably around like September, October when we started talking. It was right before his Olympia.
So when you started working with Inaka, I guess you started as a contract. Are you still contract and have the freedom to work with other brands as long as it isn't a conflict of interest?
Yeah. Right now I'm actually full time
Okay.
with Inaka, and I do have like my contract with them, but then I'm able to do more client work through my agency. So
Nice.
when I started being full time with Inaka, I wanted to make sure that it was okay with them for me
Right.
to do my agency, and I kind of act as creative director for the agency. So when we get new projects or client inquiries, I'll see which one of my designers will execute that project the best, but I have a lot of say in it. We want to make sure that when we present a design to the client through the agency, it's something that I would personally do myself as well. Because obviously they want to hire me because they've seen stuff that I've done before. So I kind of like mentor my designers and like see how we could bring that flavor that I would have brought to that design if I did it myself. So we go a lot of back and forth. I oversee a lot of the project, and then once I feel like it's good to present, we'll present it to.
Yeah, what's great that you can still kind of do that on the, well, it's probably about 50-50, but you're able to still pursue that and not really lose opportunities, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
that's awesome.
And yeah,
They're
because
allowing you
at
to
the
do
end of the
that.
day, I still want to grow as a designer and like put my name out there. So it's nice that I get to fully focus on Inaka, but I guess Black Space Creative is kind of like just a passion project of mine of like trying to still grow, and eventually that could help build like my own brand at some point.
So jumping back, what did you end up actually designing for CBUM? What do you design his merch line or?
He I think it was for his three-peat win. So they wanted apparel for Olympia.
Oh, okay, that's dope.
Yeah. So that was
before
so cool.
before he won.
Before he won his
Oh
third.
shit, he was already making it.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So like they wanted like clothes to drop
Yeah.
pre-Olympia, and then Maddie, which is his best friend and business partner, he like messaged me on the side in secret so CBUM doesn't see it, but he said, "Can you?" It was so cool. It was like so badass. He was like, "Can you design like a three-peat shirt for when he wins this year?" Like they were so confident that he was gonna win.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like my design is gonna be worn by like Chris Bumstead when he wins his third title."
Yeah.
So
I guess that's kind of like a follow up to that, right? You started off competing like in college. You joined fitness space, like design, and then fast forward now, you end up designing for some of the top brands and people in the fitness space. Like, how does that feel?
it was
Is it like, yeah,
it was one of those moments of like, okay, like I'm doing the right thing, because even when I moved to Houston, it was like around my 6-month mark living here. I had like a breakdown. I had like a panic attack of like, did I make the right decision to like move out here? Because like I wasn't getting the response that I thought that I was gonna get right away. So designing for all these people and like these iconic brands was one of those like, that's the reward for like taking that risk, even though when maybe people weren't in your corner and like supporting your decision, because your close friends do want the best for you. They want to make sure you have a plan B, a plan C. But like there was a time when I had some people like in my life that were like, I don't know if it's the right move because you don't even have a job. You just have 3D as a client. But I don't know. I just had so much faith and like so much belief in myself that something's gonna come from it. So
and look at you now.
I know.
I say, it's awesome, man. That's really cool. Really cool story.
Yeah, super blessed and like thankful for it. Like I can't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Do you think you're living the dream right now?
I think I'm living the beginning of my dream, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm totally living the dream. Like I'm doing a lot of the stuff that I've prayed for that I've never imagined myself doing, coming from like a young kid, youngest of four, that we didn't really have anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just amazing to like look back and see that
Yeah.
I'm designing and doing some cool stuff that people, first it was like people in my immediate city were wearing designs that I was designing, and then it came to people in my state, and then people in the United States, and now it's worldwide. Like I'm on TikTok and I see people from like some other country wearing like a Sebum shirt that I designed.
Yeah.
You know, or like a Inaka shirt. And like when I went to Hawaii in October, I was in Maui. Maui is like a little dot on this earth, and I saw someone wearing the very first design that I've ever done for Inaka at the gym that I went to randomly. So
Did
it
you
was
go up to him?
no. I'm too shy to do that stuff. I took a picture of it though. But it was just
corner.
again like one of those full circle moments. It
Yeah.
was all like, this is the reward and the feeling that you get when you don't give up on like the risks or the dreams that you have for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great transition into our fourth leg now, which is retrospect and goals. Do you see yourself like, is the fitness space for you the end all be all? Like, do you want to jump outside of the fitness space, like explore other realms for design and things like that? What are your goals?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like fitness might always be a part of whatever type of work that I do. Like say if I do have my own brand, maybe I will have a fitness line or whatever. But my end all be all, like I want my own brand. Like
Okay.
I'm going to sit next to Ruiji at the dinner table, you know, and talk designs with him.
Oh yeah.
Like
That's awesome, man.
I want. I don't. I truly believe, and I feel like I could have like a brand that will do like even like runways at like Fashion Week.
That's always been a goal of mine too.
Yeah, just stuff like that. And like
100%.
I'd love to be on one of those TV shows and compete to be the best designer, like on HBO Max. I want my agency to be one of those agencies that people are like, oh, we need to hire Black Space, you know, like one of that. Yeah, so I want to be someone who has a recognizable brand and that people can like just look at the story of how it all became and be inspired by it, and just have kind of like how what I see myself in Ruiji, like because of what he's doing, I see me in him. So I'd want people to be able to see themselves in me based off of the experiences that I've done that they could relate to.
Yeah. So not only do you want to be like an iconic designer, you want to also inspire young designers to,
Yeah.
you know, take that risk and
Exactly.
go,
Yeah. Like
go chase
obviously I'd love to be known for my design, but I want people to understand that it's more than just the fabric. There's also the story and just the hardships and the upbringing that took to get to where you want to be.
I will say it's extremely gratifying because with clothing, like as like someone who makes clothing, one of your purposes besides like the story is to have the customer, like when they're going into their closet, that's the piece they select.
Yes.
And it's like their staple. And it is very gratifying, you know, when you see that, like, because that's the perfect compliment, right? When someone likes something, they're using it.
Yeah.
And they can say that they like it all they want, but if they don't use it, then they don't really like it, you know? So I definitely agree with you. It's like when you see these high level designers like Ruiji and like Oblo and like Pharrell and Davin, for example, and they get this gratification, like for the longest time, you didn't see how long they were in the trenches of like making the product.
Yeah.
Like with Pharrell and like Human Race, no one believed in that product. And it was like this $20,000 shoe at one time, you know?
Yep.
And now he's obviously, you know, key designer for LV.
Yep.
But it's so cool to see like people transform clothing for something as little as like clothing, where a lot of people just, you know, put it on. Designers and like fabric technicians and like the people who create that piece, it means everything to them. And that, I think, like when you're saying you want to create your own brand, I think like no matter who it is, who is a designer, that's always their intention, is to create their own thing, because you can only create something for other people for so long and just be in the back end. You sometimes want to be in that spotlight eventually.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's a hell of a rewarding feeling, and like being on runway, like when we were growing up, that was like the spot, like that was where you wanted to be to showcase. Like if you were at the runway, you're the shit, like New York Fashion Week and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Well, I think now it's probably pretty cool. You can walk into probably 90% of gyms in America, and you're probably guaranteed to see one of your designs.
Yeah,
Pretty cool too.
That's a cool feeling. I think last year we had that. I mean, this was Alpha Land, but like last year we had that event. It was like CBUM, Alpha Land, Inaka. It was like when he came here for his meet and greet.
yeah.
Excuse me. I mean, his line was long. And like, I think that was the busiest I've ever seen Alpha Land. Like there was a line around the basketball courts, inside of gym 2 and gym 1. And then like I remember walking in the middle of the basketball court and I saw everyone in line. And I would say maybe about 95% of people in that crowd was wearing all my designs because it was
cool.
It was either a Naka shorts or a Naka shirt, a CBUM shirt, an Alpha Elite shirt. Like it was just crazy. It was just one of those, again, like one of those full circle moments of like, good thing I didn't move back home at 6 months.
So what advice, if any, would you have for a young designer that's coming up? Like what is like some key advice you would have, or you wish you would have known when you were younger?
I would say like the biggest bet you should place should be on yourself. You're like the only one that knows your dreams and your passions, and you gotta wholeheartedly pursue them, because you're not living on this earth to pursue other people's goals or other people's dreams. Like at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're good and you're happy and you feel balanced, and you'll get that if you truly focus on like what you want. So then if you're happy, you'll be able to pour into others with that same level of happiness that you have, that you could pour onto other people around you in your circle and stuff like that. And I would say yes to everything. Say yes to any potential client, whether big or small, because you just never know what door one of those clients could lead to. Like even if it doesn't seem pretty or luxurious, that person might know somebody that will see your work and will hit them up for that design.
That's true.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it's pretty cool. I think a lot of the people that we interview have essentially the same type of regardless of the realm or what business they're in, is just start, just commit, like believe in yourself, take the risk, and go after what you want in life.
Yeah.
I think it's a really huge thing. And I know you touched on this earlier. When you moved, you said you didn't have a lot of people believing in you. Has anyone ever told you that you don't have what it takes? Sense, like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I did have a good like support system that did believe in me and like always wants the best for me. But I did have those people who I thought they would have responded differently and responded the way that they did. And don't get me, like I still love them. Like I'm still friends with them, obviously. But I remember in college, there's this person in my class who was a friend and like would always ask me for feedback, or like always valued my opinion, because I think they knew that like I always had some good stuff to say. But I heard that person talk about me behind my back, saying that I wasn't rehireable. No one's going to hire me because of the type of designs that I do. And I was all like, why are you saying this? Like,
damn.
Like it was, I mean, design school was kind of like cutthroat. Like people
were threatened by you.
Yeah. People
would. You were better than him. That's why he was threatened.
Yeah. And I was like, when I heard it, I was all like, that's kind of funny, because you'd ask me for feedback or like how I would approach this project or how I do this, So I was like, that's kind of weird, but I guess. So from that, like, it fueled me, because I was like, if you're going to be this in front of my face and then this behind my back, like, I don't know what else other people are saying. So I just want to be the best and just,
prove everybody wrong.
And show people that I could do it.
Yeah. And look at, you're doing it.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Trying.
Cool. All right, Joshua. Well, thank you for your insight. I think,
Yeah.
what you've been able to accomplish in the fitness and design space has been really awesome.
you.
Like it's a really tough space to get into, especially with established brands like the ones you're working with. And a lot of those circles are very tight knit. So the resilience you've had and the ability that your persistence and your consistency and ability to kind of work your way up and, fight through the ranks and become a designer in that space is really awesome. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
One last thing before we end it is that's how I met you. Is like I went up to you at the gym because I was like, yo, you have some dope designs. I think in this space, like it's important to understand like the level of open-mindedness that you should have and like kind of give people like the recognition that you'd want them to have, because you want to hear it from other people yourself. Like people who are like at the bottom, they believe in like the competition side, right? Whereas like, if you've been doing it for a while, you love to just compliment people and like collaborate essentially,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I met you. It's like, I went up to you at Alpha Land. I was like, hey, love your work,
Yeah.
I think you were upstairs in the cables. I was like, yo, you're Josh, right? I think you were wearing the Mocha Lows.
I was.
Yeah. I was like, all right, this guy, all right. So yeah.
Daniel's a huge design lover, if you haven't noticed.
Love it.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how I could relate to him a lot.
Yeah.
The stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, we're really excited to see what you've got
Thank you.
coming in your future.
Yeah,
It sounds like
same.
you've already envisioned yourself in these positions, and that's what it's all about is having that vision and just pursuing it,
Yeah.
going after it. So crosses the finish line with us here at Relay Radio. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today and helping our audience grow their knowledge in the world of business and design in that sense, right? So hopefully you gave some good advice for any young designer out here listening and inspired somebody to take that same pursuit of passion.
For sure.
No, thank you guys for having me and giving me the opportunity and chance to use this platform and speak to
We're new,
designers.
Well, that's what we're all about, right? We don't
It
want to
is
just
cool. I was so honored when you asked
we don't
me to join.
We don't want to just bring in like influencers or people who are like very well known. We want to really let people like you highlight their stories and how they've come about. And it's really important because there are a lot of people doing great things that you're maybe just more of a behind the scenes person.
Yeah.
And next week's designer, next week's podcast guest is someone you're really gonna appreciate. They designed for like Kobe and Michael Jackson and stuff. So
What?
Yeah, he's behind the scenes. And we've been knowing him for a long time.
That's
But yeah,
really cool.
Yeah, you'll want to listen to that one.
yeah, that's one you'll absolutely love. But
dang.
thank you to the listeners at home tuning in. Together, we will sprint towards a purpose-driven future, celebrating the power of business, entrepreneurship, and the transformative impact that it can create.
That's a wrap.